As 2020 witnesses its annular solar eclipse, popularly known as the Ring of Fire eclipse today, Orissapost Live brings you a report busting myths associated with this astronomical phenomenon. Total solar eclipses produce harmful rays that can cause blindness. We have often heard that we shouldn't be looking at the solar eclipse with naked eyes. Looking at the sun is always unadvisable, during an eclipse or otherwise, because it can create a scar on your retina and at the back of your eye. Even if 0.5% of the sun's photosphere is visible, there is still a retinal hazard because the exposed photosphere is still producing the same amount of light as always. According to scientists, the radiations that are emitted during an eclipse, being 1,000,000 times fainter than the light from the sun itself, cannot possibly cross 150 million kilometers of space, penetrate our dense atmosphere, and cause blindness. However, if we watch the sun before totality, we will catch a glimpse of the brilliant solar surface, and this can cause retinal damage, though the typical human instinctual response is to quickly look away before any severe damage has actually occurred. Pregnant women should not watch an eclipse because it can harm their baby. This is related to the previous false idea that harmful radiations are emitted during a total solar eclipse. There have been some fears about solar eclipses and how they could affect unborn children. Guess what? Each day our bodies are bombarded with solar radiations. Think about sunburns, which come from ultraviolet radiation from the sun. There are even difficult to detect subatomic particles emanating from the sun called neutrinos that start out in the sun's core. But they don't cause us any harm. Every second, our body is pelted by trillions of these neutrinos, no matter if the sun is above or below the horizon. The only consequence is that every few minutes, a few atoms in our body are transmuted into a different isotope by absorbing a neutrino. This is an entirely harmless effect and would not harm anybody, pregnant or not. During the solar eclipse, total or partial, what's emanating from the sun does not change. Eclipses will poison any food that is prepared during the event. Related to the false idea of harmful solar rays is that during a total eclipse, some kind of radiation is produced that will harm the food. This myth has no scientific backing. If that were the case, the same radiations would harm the food in our pantry or crops or in the field. There are a lot of made-up fearful stories about solar eclipses, and people tend to look around for coincidences among events around them. If someone is accidentally food poisoned during an eclipse, some might argue that the event was related to the eclipse itself, even though hundreds of other people at the same location were not at all affected. Eclipses are harbingers of doom. Throughout history, solar eclipses have been associated with bad events. In 763 BC, there was an insurrection in the city of Ashur which happened to coincide with a solar eclipse. Then there was the death of England's King Henry I in 1133, again during a solar eclipse. But of course, these events were just happenstance. A classic case of what psychologists call confirmation bias is that we tend to remember all the occasions when two things happen together, but forget all of the other times when they did not. This gives us a biased view of causes and effects that we remember easily because the human brain is predisposed to looking for and remembering patterns that can be used as survival rules of thumb. Total solar eclipses are not often recorded in the historical record, but they do tend to be recorded when they coincide with other historical events. NASA has claimed all of these myths to be completely baseless on their official website. Tehzeeb Shakil for Orissapost Live. For more such videos, stay tuned to our channel.